My number 10 kick off this list is 122, the finale of season, this finale of season 1, The Games That Play Us.
Yeah.
That's your number what?
5.
5. Okay. This is a big episode. Obviously, it's the finale of season 1. I love. Now I don't know how. I'm surprised you like it because you like straightforward narrative. You don't like that jumping around. I thought the jumping around worked very well in this episode.
I don't like it. Yeah. So if it works, it's a great technique. But if it doesn't, it just fails miserably.
I thought it worked very well in this one. Jumping back and forth, like present day, them playing the basketball game, the final game, and then jumping back to stuff that led up to the game with Nathan Haley, Dan and Deb, all of that. And then finally, after you get all of that stuff, it jumps back to after the game. And then like Dan walks in and sees Keith and Deb together. But you have like moments like that, which that's a game changer. Because if that had not happened, Dan wouldn't have hired Jules. You wouldn't have got all this stuff. Like, honestly, if Keith had not slept with Deb, he would still be alive.
Yeah.
So you got that. I mean, you got the big reveal that Nathan Haley got married.
Yeah. Lucas missing the shot.
Yeah.
Huge. Because I guess he don't mean anything if you can't hit the shot, and it means nothing. Because you've got obviously they're closer. Him and Nathan are closer now. They've had time to build their relationship, but also at this point they're kind of like both anti-Dan. So that brings them together. But you got the fact. Later on, learn stuff about Lucas not being able to play basketball. But like at that point, Dan pretty much lost. You lost both your sons.
Yeah, I like how you see the growth between the first episode of season 1 and the finale, like with them actually being on the court, and he's like, "I'm actually gonna miss you." Like, Lucas was supposed to be leaving, which obviously he wasn't gonna leave the show, but him and Keith driving off with the birds flying in the air and the voiceover, that was really good. Also, this is another episode that like the Brooke and Peyton friendship, repairing it finally for good, as far as like season 1 goes.
Yeah.
With them getting back at Nikki. I know your favorite part of the episode. But this is another episode too that takes you inside Dan's mind more, as far as like him before he walked in on them sleeping together, like him in the car is like gonna tell Deb like, I want to like work on our marriage. I want to work everything out. And then he walks in and sees that. And then you also have the iconic "There's only one Tree Hill" from Karen in the line of the episode.
Yeah. I don't know. I love like the little things, like how the shot Lucas misses in this one is the one that he won in the first episode. So that's what you were kind of expecting, like, oh, make the shot. Nope, doesn't happen.
Well, it also is the same as in the state championship.
Yeah.
Which that they bring that line back too. About missing the shot, making the shot.
Don't mean anything if you can't hit the shot.
What is your number 10?
Number 10, season 3, episode 1. Like You, Like an Arsonist.
Okay.
I guess it's not on your list.
It is not. It is one I considered for honorable mention.
You had the cliffhangers in season 2. Obviously, is Dan alive? We don't know. And then we find out, yeah, he's just scarred up real bad. You've got all this coming in. You got, Ellie at this point, comes into Peyton's life. Haley tries to come back, and nobody cares. I don't care.
It's one of the best season openers, I think.
Music too. Love the music in this episode. The whole season. I think this has the best episode. Well, it has my favorite music. I don't know if I said it's the best. But definitely in this episode, I love the use of music. But you've got Lucas, you're starting that relationship with Brooke again, kind of hints of it anyway. But then, yeah, you got a whole bunch of relationships is what you're building on in this episode. It's the will they, won't they with nearly every couple. Lucas and Brooke, Nathan and Haley, even Dan and Deb. Don't know why you try to get back with her. I'll be like, yo, I'm out. I wish I would have died in that fire.
Well, he does tell her, he's like, divorce is fine at the end of that episode.
It's fine with me. Just
that was my most, if I had to think about it, that'd probably be my most anticipated episode, like, before it came out. Because, I'd watched some of season 1. I finally started watching the Hero Dies in this one in season 2. That's when I started watching the show straightforward after that. So when that finale of season 2 came out when I was a kid, I just remember the whole summer being like, oh, what happened? What happened to Dan? So
we found out.
Yeah.
He makes it.
My number 9 is 317. Who will survive and what will be left of them?
That's my number 2. Man.
Yeah, that's my number 9. Just one of the most emotional episodes of the entire series.
Yeah.
Obviously, the episode kicks off with a flashback. First of all, with Dan and Keith as kids, and then it cuts to the funeral, Keith's funeral, and then the episode ends with another funeral, Jimmy's funeral, and in between everything that happens as far as like everybody dealing with this shooting and Keith's death and Jimmy's death, and it's broken down into the stages of grief. The episode. Dan dealing with the fact that he murdered his brother and like got away with it, and just like how that's affecting him. Lucas feeling responsible for Keith's death. Karen just a total mess. Nathan and Haley sort of feeling a little bit guilty, but also like just happy that they're back together. Peyton just still alone with a bullet scar in her leg now. And then Brooke feeling on the outskirts of everything because while she was there, she wasn't in the school with everybody.
Yeah.
And she feels sort of jealous, I think, by that fact because she doesn't get to experience that with them and really be there with Lucas.
I don't know if I'd use the word jealous.
Envious?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know what word to use.
Yeah, I don't know what to use. But you get what I'm saying. It's like
I know what you mean. Because that comes back, this episode, a couple more, like the fact that, keeps get reminded, oh, you weren't there. Like, yeah. Sorry for that. Why do you push me on the bus? But like, it's interesting, like what would have happened if, Brooke was the one in the library. Definitely changed the entire series.
Yeah.
For the better.
I don't know about that.
But yeah, that is my number 2. I love the writing. Such an emotional, episode. Like I say, right up there with 316. Obviously in a different tone, but everyone's dealing with everything that just happened. So many lives were changed in that last episode, and you're dealing with it in this one.
What's your number 9?
Number 9 is season 4, episode 10, Songs to Love and Die By.
All right, that's my number 6.
Here we go. Love the stuff in this episode with Lucas and Keith.
Yeah, that's hands down why it's in my list.
Well,
no, not two things. The stuff with Lucas and Keith obviously is the big point, but then the other aspect of why it came up here is the stuff with Nathan and Dan.
Yeah,
which I love how that kind of like you have the spiritual aspect with them, but they kind of have those two parallel relationships there going on. But go ahead. there.
Yeah, I just it's so good. You get like the kind of It's a Wonderful Life kind of vibe,
which makes no sense in the time frame of the show. But
how dare you?
I did. Well, it's not Christmas time. It's like April.
Christmas in April, dude.
I don't know why it's playing on the TV at the hospital.
But like it's like I love, it shows you, like I say, it's a Wonderful Life. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's no beating around the bush. But it's crazy. And like I say, I understand this. I like Brooke and Lucas together. But obviously this episode, if you didn't know at this point, you knew from this episode it was going to be Lucas and Peyton. Brooke obviously took the dark turn, focused on her art, got into like a different, the goth crowd. But later on you had Peyton, as an older woman, just at his grave, spent her life alone, without Lucas. So like at that moment you should have known that's who was going to end up with who.
Yeah.
Obviously. But like everything, like I said, with Nathan and Dan, and then Nathan and Haley, telling her what happened, why it happened, her having to deal with that. Dan and Dante, that was nice.
Well, yeah. Obviously, like we said, the stuff with Lucas and Keith, and this is their final scenes together. They don't have any more, obviously, moving forward. Although we do see Keith again a couple times, but from the moment he realizes Keith's in that street and that shock, the way they set up some of those shots with them walking through the elevator was really cool. Him seeing Karen, all of that, but and then just I got chills too when they walked in when he takes Lucas back in the school hallway, and then like they turn in that corner and they're just like laying there dead. And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to see this." Like, can't imagine that. And then you also got the Brooke and Peyton stuff. They have the scene under the bridge, talking about their friendship. And she's like, "Can we be friends again?" She was like, "Sure." Like we used to. No.
Maybe better.
And then them going to talk to opposites. Like Brooke goes and talks to Haley, or no, Brooke goes and talks to Lucas. Peyton goes to talk to Haley about the other one. But I guess my favorite thing would be the Dan and Nathan stuff. Like just that scene, and we'll talk about. I'm talking about some of my moments here, but that scene where Nathan goes to visit Dan in jail, and he's like, "He didn't kill anybody," and Dan just, "I have sins to pay for," and then he's like, "I love you," and Dan just like puts the phone down and stands up, and I'm like, "Oh man, that's just."
Tear comes down.
Man. Yeah, number 6 for me.
Yeah.
And also, like, that is the actual mid-season finale of season 4, which I didn't remember. I thought that was, for some reason, the mid-season premiere, but it's the finale. And it ends on the cliffhanger, even though everybody, like, is pretty much okay at the end of the episode. It ends with Dan still in jail, but also the fact Keith telling Lucas to open your eyes, and then him opening his eyes at the end, and you're like, what did he see? Did he see Dan do it? Like,
which, I don't know. That's kind of like an annoying thing for me. Like when character like learned that, like, oh yes, I saw her in the hallway when I was going. I find it highly unbelievable. But I understand you're just using that as a plot point to go forward.
There's certain things. It's like, yeah, I don't know how I'd read it like that.
John Young needed work, and you're like, yo, how can we write her in? But like, I mean, it doesn't take away from the episode for me, or anything further down. Yeah. But yeah, that was my number 9.
All right. My number 8, 309. How a Resurrection Really Feels. Not on your list. All right, I'm surprised by that one. This is the mid-season finale of season 3. Just got some really good moments in here, and the reason why I'm surprised it's not on your list, it's like a big Brucus episode. It's them finally getting together.
Brucus for life.
And when I originally watched the show the first time, I was a Brucus fan. I'm not anymore. I'm a Leighton fan and an Ailey fan, and Brulian when we get there. But yeah, them finally getting together though is still a great moment on the show. And then Nathan and Haley finally making up, getting back together in this episode. The stuff with Chris Keller and Nathan is really fun. Seeing them on the boat, punching that one guy in the face, jumping off. Chris Keller was dog paddling just fine. Chris Keller was drowning just fine. Yeah. And this is like the first episode, I guess, you really get to see too, like that Chris does have a heart, and there's like the fact that he sells a guitar, for Haley. And then also Dan becomes mayor in this episode. And just like that glory in that moment. Also, the music in the episode is really good too. And I really like the stuff with Peyton in this episode, dealing with, I mean, she's like hallucinating or dreaming or whatever you want to say, but she keeps seeing the Dark Angel version of herself. Yeah. I really like that, and like the conversations she has with her.
I love the way she looks. Brings back the.
Oh yeah.
That dude. Yeah, sucker for that, dude. You think I'm joking? I'm being dead serious.
What is your number 8?
Number 8 is the season 4 finale. All of a sudden, I miss everyone.
Well, that's my number 5.
Oh, right. It probably should be higher, but
yeah, it probably should be
3 spots higher.
What? Go ahead and talk. Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, it's my 8th favorite, so it's okay. Probably one of my favorite finales.
Mine as well. Probably my 3rd favorite finale.
It goes through so much stuff as a finale should. I love the use of music. Like I love just opening the episode. Was it Lightning Crashes?
Oh man, yes. Opens with that. I love the slow-mo shots.
Oh man.
The Dan turning himself in.
Yeah.
My name is Dan Scott. I killed my brother. And you just see the cops like, the fuck? Can you imagine being that cop that day? It's like, it's a slow day. The
first murder. Man.
And it's the mayor too. Like, damn.
Nah, man, you need to walk out. You don't know what you're talking about.
Karen seeing Keith and like Lily older. That scene gets me.
Name the kid. It's Lily.
And then cutting 2 weeks later, and then the whole party. And what I love a lot about this episode is that it's not written just as a finale. Like the opening, you could say yes, but really, the episode before this was written like as a season finale. This episode was written as a series finale, which is exactly how this episode should have been written.
Yeah.
Given that it was jumping a big time jump after this. Like if this had been like, I'm glad we got later seasons, but if this had been the end of the show, like it would have been satisfying.
Yeah.
For the first season. You would have been what?
I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah.
Everything. I just can't get over that opening scene. It's so good. But you got everything with like Dan, like I said, he turns himself in. But then Nathan and Lucas. Obviously, everybody learns about it, but those two gonna go see him, and then like, nah, not worth my time.
Which I've never understood why Lucas would go see him.
He went to live with him in season 2, so I don't know. I can see why. Just Nathan had the closer relationship with his dad, but then Lucas would go because he had the relationship with Keith. So I'm sure he would have questions and stuff he would want to say.
That's always been my thing. It's just like they have very different relationships with Dan, obviously, and they're always going to have different opinions on Dan. And like you said with the questions, and when we talk about in the later seasons, we'll talk about this. But it's like one of my favorite things about the show is like how you have in season 6 that episode where Lucas talks to him about asking the questions.
Yeah.
And you get the answer that he gives Lucas then, which isn't really the truth. It's just what he thinks Lucas wants to hear, essentially, or what Lucas is going to understand. But then in season 9, you have the same situation with Nathan, and it's completely different.
So much better.
Oh man.
Favorite scene of the series.
Yeah, it's mine as well.
But you also have like the stuff where Dan tries to kill himself. Really emotional.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, obviously.
No. But that being his last scene in that the high school years too.
Yeah.
From where he started to ending up there is, man. And the scene with Karen too.
Spit on the glass.
And him just like collapsing onto the glass crying and like.
Somebody's got to think of the glass, so it's pretty rude. But even like setting up, like say, series finale vibes, like it sets up the future stuff. Like I say, you got Lucas, who's kind of, what's going to happen, with him. Obviously, can't play basketball. Gets to be, Whitey's assistant. Got the, obviously you got Jamie Scott being born.
Well, I love too, like, the series finale, you have each character, like, you have all the characters have interactions with characters that you would want in a series finale. Like, Brooke and Lucas have a scene, and it's a good scene. It's important. You have a lot of stuff you have a scene with Lucas and Haley, Lucas and Nathan, Lucas and Skills.
Yeah.
You make sure that all the characters get time with characters that fans would want to see together for that finale.
Just give me more Dan.
Yeah. And also too, I know I mentioned this before in the video, but like when they play basketball at the end on the river court. Well, I love too, like how you cut slow-mo shots and music playing between them having the time of their lives playing on the court to Dan trying to kill himself in prison.
Yeah, I love that song.
Man, that's
Tyrone Wells got it on my phone, man. That should have been playing at my graduation. I was cheated.
What'd you say? What song?
That song, Time of Our Lives.
That's not the song that's playing. I'm just saying they're having the time.
I know, but you said it, and then I thought about it. So throwing it in there, man.
And then after that, of course, you have them start to play that game against each other, Lucas and Nathan, and then it ends Rocky 3 style, but you don't know what happened. Obviously, Nathan won, though.
If you're going the Rocky 3 style.
Well, if you're going the Rocky 3 style, Lucas would have won because it's the less believable.
Oh.
Nathan is a far better basketball player than Lucas.
Yeah, he didn't win the first game.
He got lucky the first time.
Okay.
And just like with Rocky 3, Rocky definitely would have won that fight.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But yeah, you got Lucas. He had a heart condition, so Nathan got lucky.
What? That was your number. What?
That was my number 8. So.
Okay. My number 7 is 312. I've Got Dreams to Remember. Man, missing out on this episode. This is like kind of like 107, where it's like nothing huge happens in this episode as far as like game changers, but it's just like a damn good written episode. Like Mike Hero and David Strauss wrote this, which they write really good episodes. They wrote my favorite episode of the series, and they wrote my least favorite episode of the series in season 9 and season 8. But they wrote this episode, and this is the episode where the guidance counselor's there, and you see each character talking to the guidance counselor about their future. And it's just, I love that. I love like getting these just moments where you're just looking at the character as if you're sitting where the guidance counselor is, and you're hearing them talk about themselves and their future and their hopes and dreams. And I love that. And then you have that also paired with a basketball game and it's the basketball game too that Lucas does really well in.
Yeah.
And you also have it paired with stuff going on with Keith and Dan. That episode opens with Keith in jail after Dan had him arrested, and them getting in a fight in jail. And then after that, like he's like, the cop's like, we can't do anything. We can't hold him. We don't have anything on him. And Dan's like, can I fire you? No.
No, he can't. Sorry. That should have been the cop that he admitted to.
Yeah, that would have been. Because it's funny because that cop is in season 4 as well, and Lucas goes and talks to him and tells him the truth, and that guy's like, I think you owe him an apology.
Oh, man. Where's that scene with Lucas and him later on?
What's that?
Where's that scene with Lucas and the cop later on? Like, I owe nobody an apology.
Yeah. Cop probably got fired.
Yeah, probably. Oh, man.
All right.
Not looking good for me.
That's my number 7. So I actually have my 5 through 10 done now.
Oh, nice. Which one? You took my second one. I think that was the only one so far. Yeah, out of those.
So how many do you have left?
1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Go ahead and say your 7.
Season 4, episode 13. Pictures of You.
Okay.
Sucker. It was so good. Love.
I knew this would be in your list.
Man, it's so good, dude. It is. Definitely got the 80s vibes.
Yeah.
Pairing off, and it's the best episode of the series.
You're entertained.
Well, it's like another one like the I Will Dare episode on steroids because it's so much better. You got people that you've never even met before, and then you got people you've known the whole series, but you pair them with random people like Haley with skills. How many scenes do they get together?
And their stuff was really good.
Yeah. So you put them like that, you get Nathan back with Peyton. I
like that stuff.
He gets like a fresh perspective, like, we were pretty good together. Like, we were terrible together. What are you talking about? And the stuff with Lucas,
Glenda.
Yeah, projecting his character, opening up with her, about being a writer. I don't care about Mouse. So.
I like Mouth, but I don't like Shelley. So like that stuff was like to me.
It brings it down.
And also the stuff with Brooke and Chase I didn't care about. So that's why I like it. It doesn't make it in there for me.
I like the stuff with Brooke. Like, get Chase out of there. I don't care. It is one of my favorite shots of the whole show. Is Brooke.
Yeah.
The projector with all the words. I love that shot. Oh yeah, you got my Breakfast Club cameo in there. It's so good. Yeah, so that's my number 7.
I do have a problem, sort of like I don't like the whole
keep that to yourself.
The friendly category. I think that was kind of stupid. Because they try to do like the 5 categories that are in the Breakfast Club, but then they switch criminal for friendly.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what else you would have switched it with, but I would have switched it for something else. The other 4 I liked, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because that's really definitely alienating one whole gender.
Not necessarily.
No dude's gonna be in that friendly category. It's definitely looked at different.
Felix.
But as a guy, he's not gonna be looked at as friendly.
Right, because
duh.
People are sexist.
Yeah, that's exactly. But yeah, solid episode.
Okay, what's your number 6?
Season 4 again. Episode 9. Some You Give Away.
Oh, you motherfucker! That's my number 1.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my number 1.
Got that out of the way. Yeah, that's my number 1 favorite episode of the high school years.
Well, I'm glad I can help.
409.
What do you want to talk about it more since it's your favorite?
Go ahead and talk for it first.
This episode sucks. I was just kidding. No, it's so good. Like I love the vibe. They got the basketball game, which is obviously an important part of the show. First 4 seasons for high school basketball, obviously. The state championship, will they win this time? Get Whitey the title? You got the stuff with Nathan and Dan and Dante. Dan kind of, Nathan caused the situation, but Dan certainly didn't help it with his tough love, not helping you. Go figure out your own way. And I don't care about Deb either, but you had the stuff with her and Karen. Yeah. It's not poorly acted. I just don't care about her character. So anytime you put her, I don't really care about Karen. So when you put those two on screen together, I could just fast forward.
Yeah, I'm not a big Karen fan, or Deb really, unless she's interacting with other characters. But I love everything about this episode.
Peyton and Lucas, you get that awesome shot.
Yeah, I love that shot. I love them finally being together. The dialogue, it's always been you. I love that he's been hiding that truth, and then he has to get permission essentially from Brooke that it's okay for him to do that. I thought that was written very well, and I love the shot. I love the opening of the episode because it opens with actually a scene at the end, Whitey walking down there and everything, but then it also it has the recording of the Nathan or Dan's game, in the past, and it makes you think, oh, is that this game? It's like, no, it's that game, and Whitey's playing it, so they're talking about Dan and like how that connects to now, and then you hear the modern day one at the end. You have the stuff with Dante. You don't know what's going to happen. You're in suspense with that. You don't know what's going to happen with Haley and the baby. She has some difficulties early on in that episode, and then she finds out it's a boy. Tells Nathan, because he's trying to lose the game too. You don't know if they're going to win. You have the fight amongst the team members, which connects back to the beginning of the season.
Well, because Lucas
he knows what's happening, and he tells Skills, and then they're trying to play to win. So you have all of that going on. You also, of course, have the stuff with Deb, the fact that she can't even go to this game without getting messed up on the pills. Chili's sponsors this episode.
So baby back.
You have everything that Dan's good dealing with too, not just like his typical dealing with Keith stuff, but now he's got to deal with this, like what's going to happen with Nathan. I've got to protect him. I've let him down.
Yeah.
All this. Every time that he's like, he gets moments of happiness watching Nathan, and then he turns and sees Dante, and he's like, oh man, what's going to happen? Stuff with Whitey.
Like beating the concrete.
That's my favorite. Yeah. Probably my second favorite scene of the high school years. I just love that so much when he takes the fall for Nathan, because it just shows everything I need to know about this character. It's like he will do anything for Nathan, and we'll see that again, obviously, later on. But yeah, just and like every time I show somebody new that scene, but like Sarah said it, where he like, oh, you killed him, son. It's like, well, you don't know he's dead. You don't. But in that moment, you had to make a decision, and it seemed like he did kill him. So, like, I'm going to make the decision to, like, you go, I'm going to take the fall. And he just punches the ground multiple times and just breaks his hand. Oh, man. Just love that scene so much. And then, obviously, you have after that, Lucas has his heart attack. He's out there trying to, like, he didn't take his medicine because he wanted to play better in the game, and he just collapses. So you have him and Haley both unconscious, being rushed into the hospital. That voiceover going on, and then Brooke comes in and tells Peyton, it's not looking good for both of them. Like, there's been an accident, and just
it's bad.
The music in that episode, like, it's just, I love everything about that episode.
Clearly.
Yeah, so it's a good one.
I'm gonna start chipping off some more of yours.
All right, I have 3 more. How many do you have? 4?
I've got 5, 4, 3, and 1. Yeah, I got 4.
Go ahead and say your 5.
How many do you have? You said
I have 3 more left. I have my 2, 3, and 4.
you had 3. My number 5 is the season 1 finale, The Games That Play Us.
Oh, we already talked about that one.
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Number 5. Number 4 is the season 3 finale.
Okay. Yeah. My number 4 is the season 3 finale as well.
I'm chipping away. One of the best uses of music in the whole show.
Definitely. At the time, this was the second show that had been able to play Led Zeppelin on TV.
That band sucks. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the wedding is obviously the biggest part of this episode. Everyone's coming together. Brooks hitting on Cooper, like you said. Favorite thing. But then, like I say, you have all those cliffhangers that you throw in there. Obviously they're getting married. Somebody's pregnant.
At least one person.
At least one. You find out. Brooke finds out about Lucas and Peyton in the school. You got Dan, who he just snaps, finds out about what actually happened in the fire.
Yeah.
Not good. I would lose it.
I had to see his breaking down at Keith's grave too.
Yeah. Pretty massive episode.
Yeah.
I feel bad for that bridge. It just got torn to pieces.
Yeah, and that's epic cliffhanger, which I also think that's the same bridge that's in season 8. I don't know for sure, but I think it is.
I don't know.
Seems like it.
Couldn't say.
I'll pay attention when we rewatch it.
Make a note.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one?
My number 3, I know is on your list, is the pilot episode.
Ah, man. That's my number 2. Second favorite episode.
Kicks off everything. Like I say, you've got the later on you got, like I said, the mimic with the season 4 finale, not finale, but the basketball game, state championship. All the shots, love that. But then, like I say, you're introduced to all these characters. Learn backstory on everybody a little bit, who this is, who that is, how they fit in together. Underdog story. So good.
Yeah. I don't
Without
have
this,
much more to say about it because it is the pilot.
Well, this
set everything
the
up.
second pilot.
Well, it's the same pilot. It was just edited differently.
I have the original pilot.
Just edited differently.
Albeit just.
Yeah, you wish that other character had been left in there.
Oh, man, dude, I told you, it looks like Mouse, but a female.
Her name was Reagan, I think.
It was Mouse.
Which, that was something actually I wish they had done in season 3 when he meets that character Faith, which I hated that. That's my least favorite episode of season 3. I wish they had brought that character back, Reagan, and had her be in that episode. Because, like, for people who were fans and had seen that original pilot, you'd be like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah.
But instead, they just brought this other character in. That
don't care about her. But yeah, that's my number 3.
Okay, go ahead and say your number 2, because I know that your number 1 is my number 3.
You said my number 2. The season 3, episode 17.
Oh, okay. So we only have your number 1 and my number 3.
My number 1.
3-16.
Such a good episode, man.
With tired eyes, tired minds, tired souls, we slept.
The longest
School shooting.
Longest title of time.
I did a whole episode talking about just this episode. It's the school shooting episode. It's the game changer of the series, not just mainly for the Keith stuff, but also just the event that everybody went through and how it had changed their lives. Brooke and Lucas relationship, Lucas and Peyton in general. I love the choice not to play music in this episode until the end.
And it's Michelle Featherstone?
Yeah. God Bless the Child. That's the only song that plays in this episode, and it's in the last few scenes there. I love the voiceover at the end.
Yeah.
Chilling. The performances from everybody. Hillary Burton, Colin, I think Feeks is his name, who plays Jimmy Edwards.
He did for nominations for sure.
I know we're going to talk about scenes here in a second, so I want to hold off a little bit on that. But the stuff with Jimmy at the end.
I think this is a perfect episode of television. Just fantastic. The cinematography, like I say, the lack of music. That way you're not focused on anything but the characters, what's going on with them. And obviously, like I say, this would probably, I don't know, it'd be hard to watch for a lot of people these days. Mm-hmm. If this came out, 5 years ago.
They wouldn't make this episode today.
Which, shame on them for not, honestly. Not that, there's not 13 reasons why, but that was a big complaint I had with that, is that you didn't.
Well, I don't even know if I'm talking about in that aspect. I'm talking about the school shooting aspect is why I don't think they would make this episode today.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Because, and I understand it because I think it's a great, fantastic. I mean, obviously it's high up there.
I think if you made it, it wouldn't be in this realm. You wouldn't have a character like Jimmy, who no one wants to watch, where a school shooter
plays the victim.
It's not completely his fault, which obviously is the case a lot of the times. But nobody wants to see that. That's what. If you got a school shooting episode, it would just be like Felix. he would be the shooter.
Yeah.
Jerk, just pissed off, like, oh, didn't make the team.
Or a Psycho Derek, or
yeah, not somebody who's just a normal person who just doesn't have any friends. They did. But I do. I think this is a perfect episode of television.
Which I don't know, like, if he brought that gun, he only fired it once at somebody, and the person that he fired it at was the guy who beat him up in the last episode.
He's the shooter now.
He beat him up in the last episode.
Yeah.
And he's also the guy who was slipping girls the date rape drug.
Yeah.
That he talks about in the video time capsule.
Yeah.
So, not a good dude. Probably would have been okay if he had got shot.
But yeah, oh man, it's so good. You got the dynamic with Keith and Dan.
Man.
Yeah.
I know him. He's not a bad kid. He is now.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. You I don't know. Like I say, it would be interesting to see this episode. Like that's what made me mad about 13 Reasons Why season 2, among many things. You didn't go full force into it. You just shied away from stuff, which annoys me. Because if you so you're gonna make this show, and like I say, 13 Reasons Why, a lot of others are realistic on a lot of things, like how teenagers are. That's why I like it so much. Is it's not insane all the time. Some things are definitely not believable would happen. But when you have episodes like this is a realistic representation of what a lot of cases are. And then where you've got outside, no one can get in. You got Dan and Keith there. Definitely opposites. Keith trying to help him, and Dan's just like, "Yo, take the team in there and shoot him."
And I love too. It's just moments that it breaks down and explains stuff too. With Dan talking to Principal Turner, how did this happen? Where's the security guards? Where are the cameras? Metal detectors.
Yeah.
He was like, school board voted against it. Part of school board that I believe you were on.
Yeah.
The shot too, this is Karen and Keith's last time together alive, and the fact that Kieran leaves to go help Brooke. You got that shot there, and then it pans back and you see Dan in the distance watching them, and it's just adding more to that whole thing. And the scene too where he's like, you can get me in there. No one has to know.
Yeah. Which I don't know how they wouldn't know, because Dan definitely wouldn't be in charge.
Well, he has keys to the school. I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's not like, yo, screw this episode. You ain't get in there.
That's unbelievable.
But like I said, you got all that, but then like I say, you're talking about Karen.
Well, Dan also got out with nobody seeing either. He got in as well.
Well, somebody saw.
Yeah.
Snitch. But like I said, you do have Karen and Brooke, who's just there alone, which sucks. Not that she's not in the school shooting. Like, yo, why didn't I get my 15 minutes of fame? I mean, you're pretty much, not exactly, but you're Jimmy Edwards at that point. She had nobody. Anybody she did care about, gone. Doesn't know if they're alive. Doesn't know what's happening.
I think they should have played down into that a little bit more.
Yeah, you could have. I don't know. You could have got rid of that reporter. I mean,
yeah.
I know, just so you could focus on Brooke more. I mean, that's definitely accurate. But
I did like the Glenda stuff. I mean, that's Glenda's introduction, who they do bring back in season 4. Seeing her, somebody who not popular. Obviously, she has a bad relationship with her mom too. We found that out, but like, who's just making it up to try to be cool. Like, yeah, I'm friends with her because she's obviously popular.
No,
yeah,
you're not at all. But yeah, just fantastic. Probably my second favorite episode of the series.
All right, guys, that is our top 10 favorite episodes of the high school years.